You know, he's really he's shameless in intellectual argument. He's absolutely without character, a moral foundation, or even intellectual substance.
To the Getting Lit podcast. Last episode, we spoke to David Mamet, which was kind of surreal. But this episode, this week, we're speaking with another luminary, a wonderful guest, a regular, really, on the Getting Lit podcast, Zach Langley Chi Chi. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again. This is like my fourth or fifth time, I think.
It is. And once again, we are speaking about a Shakespeare. So I remember I chose you for this episode because we spoke about, I think, Cleopatra, the Shakespeare story of Cleopatra. That must have been a couple of years ago now, when we talked about things old and new that we were into, passions old and new. And I think you brought up that, and you talked about how you really like Shakespeare. And I really like Shakespeare too. And I thought we would do the Tempest because this is my favorite Shakespeare. And it's his last play. And I also wanted to get out of the way up front. I am so tired of the Shakespeare hot takes, like, that you see online now. That's like, Shakespeare's not that good, man. Or like, Shakespeare was this, or, Shakespeare wasn't, this guy. He wasn't just this. He was the Edward de Vere thing, all of that crap. Shakespeare is good. Like, it's indisputable. Stop saying that. And I remember this is funny. You'll appreciate this, Zach. I tweeted that out like a couple of weeks ago, and, a common enemy of ours basically, replied in response. So I said, I'm sick of this, questioning of Shakespeare's greatness. He's great and whatever. And then Mr. Cantbot said to me,
I knew it was going to be him.
Said to me, was like, historically inaccurate. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm not making a historical point. I'm talking about literary qualities. And so, yeah, I'm just sick of that take, and I don't want to hear it anymore. So, you were recently trolled by him, weren't you? About Evangelion or something?
Yeah, he's been, reply guying me for like 4 years, but in a really negging way. I don't know why. I listened to Tech Wars when it was coming out and enjoyed it, and I thought he was funny on Red Scare, but he just really doesn't like it. And he's been against my podcast since its first season when no one was even listening. So he's just I said this in a tweet, but he's just like a Japanese poltergeist. He's like the Grudge. And I need a ritual ceremony to get him out of my hair, but I was like, I like Lena Dunham. He's like, oh, you do? Oh. And then I'm doing a bunch of Evangelion episodes to celebrate I'm So Popular, my program's 5th anniversary. And he's like, Evangelion? How original. I'm not doing it to be original. I'm doing it because I love it. Okay.
Yeah. How does someone like him not appreciate Evangelion?
Everyone's so stupid about Eva. I can't even get into it, but...
Well, I'm sure you are getting into it in the future episodes, but
yes,
yeah, I actually I was just listening to the first one you did, which was really good.
Thank you.
You've been doing this for 5 years, podcasting for 5 years. How does it feel, and where do you want to go next?
I was just thinking about that too, because I guess I'm about a little bit over halfway through this season, which usually takes about a year, sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little less, and that means I have to start thinking about the next 5 years, the next season. And I think I would like to make the show a little bit more accessible in some ways. I'd like if more people could just tune in without feeling like they need to like have tens of episodes of history to, log on. And I'd like to have some, bigger guests on. When I first started, I had like a lot of verve to like email people, and I just have not done that for 3 years. So I'd like to try that again. And then how it feels generally, it's cool to have half a decade because my like literally like the quality of my voice is different. I used to speak in a really high pitched way, and that has lowered as time goes on, and my opinions
Not on
and my
the
life
Idol
has
episodes,
changed.
though.
No, that gets right back up. Yeah, exactly.
No, I kid.
But
Yeah.
it's cool to have like a log of transformation, that's just like shows like my entire life and all its shapes in the last 5 years. I'm very happy to be doing it. So yeah.
Mm. I like that you spoke about the verve of approaching guests. Like I hardly ever do that anymore either. Like
But you get all these great authors on your show and stuff, and I remember when I felt like one inspiration. I read Acts of Service. If you know that book, it has a pink square on the cover, and I emailed the author. I was like, "I love your book. Do you wanna come promote it?" And just no response. I was like, "I'm not sending another email for 4 months."
Nothing. Yeah. I hate when, like, occasionally I will email someone who's maybe not an author, maybe some kind of, personality or artist of some kind. And like, they're not like really huge, but they're like slightly bigger than us or whatever. And then I get really annoyed when they don't respond to me and who do you think you are?
How dare you?
Do you know who I am? It's that sort of thing. And so then I just go off emailing people for weeks on like months on end.
Yeah, it's the same
But
for me.
luckily we get spammed by publicists, so I can just be like, okay.
I've been getting that recently. There's some wild ones. Like an actor from Insecure is like doing like a show about like a multiracial couple in New York. I was like, why do you want to come talk to me? But okay, just random stuff comes in the inbox. But
I do think they just search keywords on podcast directories or whatever and just like put in the email. And I really hate a publicist email that is like fake, like folks
copy paste the description while being folksy with you. I'm like, you don't have to try it. I can always tell when they like capitalize "I'm so popular" in all caps, which is how I stylize it. But I'm like, you're not gonna have the instinct to type that out. So I know that you just had your little bot do that, but whatever. Thanks for the email, I guess. I also wanted to say, sorry to interrupt, but I've been doing this show for so long, and I think we first recorded together like probably 3-4 years ago almost. And Getting Lit has had so many different variations. Like when I started, you had like 2 other co-hosts who are no longer with us. Then you like launched out on your own. Now we have a wonderful new voice and a new look. And it's been so cool to see your show change and persevere for all of this time. Good work.
Oh, thank you. I would say the same to you. I love how your show has sort of changed and evolved as well. It seems much more, I don't know, like, personal now, like with your show.
Thank you. I hope
you've
that's
really
the
come
case.
into your own,
Same to you, my friend.
But anyway, we're here to talk about Shakespeare, which I'm always down to do. And yes, Shakespeare is the greatest. I don't want to hear anything to the contrary. So The Tempest is Shakespeare's reputed last play. There's a lot of like conjecture about whether if he wrote something else after this, but it's the confirmed at the moment last play. And it's a weird one because and this is why I like it, because it's not a comedy and it's not a tragedy, but it has elements of both of these things. And, usually a comedy in a Shakespearean sense, or at the time, results in a marriage. That's usually actually the definition of a comedy back in those days. And it's sort of a little bit lighter, whereas tragedy pretty much always ends in like some kind of death or destruction or like things like that. But The Tempest sort of has combinations of both of these things, and I've always found it really interesting because of that. So basically the plot it's fairly simple. Prospero is this exiled duke on this deserted island, And he studies magic. And while on this, he's sort of previous to the story, he's been kind of removed from the throne and then like set adrift at sea. And this is where he ends up on this island. He starts this Tempest with his magic and like strands these enemies who conspired against him on the island. And then is basically ensnares them in various traps with his servants, which we'll talk about. And there's this like, you think he's going to like take vengeance on them, but then he has a change of heart. And what happens at the end is he decides not to take vengeance and he doesn't choose violence. He chooses forgiveness. There's a lot in between those from the start to the end, but that's basically the gist of it. And it's very interesting for that reason as well. I think that forgiveness is such a crucial element of it. And it's basically the main point of the play, I would argue. But like, yeah, what are your guys' history of Shakespeare and the Tempest in particular? About you go first, Fresta, before Zach.
Oh yeah, mine's pretty short. Basically, this is like the second Shakespeare I've ever read. We did like Othello in high school, and yeah, that's about it. My history of Shakespeare, really. I always wanted to like read Macbeth or something, but I have not done it yet.
Have you watched the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet?
No, I remember in the 90s or whatever, the constant like ads in the Prince song and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never actually seen it.
Yeah. All right.
I've seen things like 10 Things I Hate About You and stuff like that. But yeah.
And The Lion King.
Is that Shakespearean?
It's Hamlet. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Also directed by Julie Taymor on stage, so watch out.
Correct. Oh yes, I should have said up front that we're kind of talking about the Julie Taymor adaptation as well, because I think it's an interesting artifact. But we're sort of talking about them interchangeably. But yes, Zach, what is your history with the Bard and this play in particular?
I was really precocious in junior high school, and my mom always encouraged me to do a lot of reading, and so we had in Oregon something called the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, where they've actually staged like the entire folio, I think 6 times already. Like they've gone through every play and they do literally everything. And we read, the basic stuff, Midsummer's Night Dream in junior high school. And then in high school, it was, more of that. But we also did that production, and I was the president of my thespian club, which is my dark history. It's, me in Milan before I got exiled. I was, doing theater kid stuff. And we got to go to Ashland to see a few Shakespeare plays. And I got to see Romeo and Juliet, which everyone kind of thinks is the basic one. But it really moved me beyond measure. I was so affected by seeing it staged, and I became very interested. And since then, after my English degree in college, the best time of my life, where I read Macbeth and Hamlet and The Tempest as well, I basically every year set out to make sure I read 1 or 2 that I haven't already. And yeah, I hadn't revisited The Tempest since university, so I guess it's been probably about 9 years now. And I was very excited to reread it because I love him. I find him to be the archetypal designer of the human mind. Every sexual role, every emotional instinct that you've ever had exists somewhere in Shakespeare. And I honestly think the entire structure of narrative is owed to him in a lot of ways. And that's why I always say that you have to teach him in high school, is because if you can read Shakespeare, you can read through reality TV or literally anything you encounter. So I think it's just as important as, reading the Bible or something.
Yeah, I agree with you, because there's so many turns of phrases as well that people just use from Shakespeare that even knowing that gives gives a certain fullness to your life to know that this common phrase that someone who's never seen or heard or read Shakespeare says every day. I just love that. There's a thrill to that, I think. And that's how influential he's been on the English language in particular. I love this idea as well that this architect of the human mind or human spirit or whatever, because in some ways I really do feel like that Prospero is kind of a stand-in for Shakespeare in this play.
Oh, totally.
Like he's the artist. Like he refers to his magical study as like his art, capital A art, and throughout the play, and the way that he sets things in motion and also puts people in different places and makes certain people meet. It is like he's a sort of magician in the play, but it almost is playing out the dramatist's role as well. And even in this play as well, it's not so much done in the film, but in the play there is a play within the play as well. So I think he's being a little bit kind of cheeky there with like talking about the magic of drama and all that sort of stuff.
I talked about, this is related, I swear, but my co-host and I talked about a Gundam series called The Witch from Mercury back a few months ago, and that uses the names of all of these Tempest characters. So the villain is Prospero, and the two Gundams are the Ariel and the Caliban unit. So I was thinking about the Tempest a few months ago, and it's like kind of the first postmodern work of literature that we have acknowledged this far, because it acknowledges its medium. It's kind of reflexively bent against it, and at its center, like you said, it has Prospero as this like both god and stand-in for Shakespeare. So it gets very heady, even though it's like his shortest play, and also very straightforward. There's all of these like fascinating like metatextual layers that are different from everything else he does.
Yeah, 100%. Like, but you do have the. It's really funny because I think it's the last Shakespeare play, and so many of his concerns are distilled down in a really like crystalline form that it's like nature versus art, like spirituality versus base kind of desires and things like that, stuff that he's talked about throughout the folio. But in this one in particular, there's something there's something else going on in terms of like it's just really crystalline. That's the only way I can sort of describe it, like very clear in his concerns and motifs and things like that. What was your experience with the Tempest, Fresta, as someone who's not hugely familiar?
To be honest, I'm probably not going to have a lot to say on this episode, but because it was like a few months ago now we read it, and I didn't get a chance to reread it or rewatch the film. But yeah, like it took me a while to figure out what was going on, to be honest. Like I was just like ADHD kind of like zoning out, but then like coming back in, and then watching the film made it sort of clear up a bit more. Like I was like, oh, he's like a dog man or something, Trinculo or whatever the guy's name was. And yeah, no, I thought it was interesting though, for sure. Like, definitely I need to read more Shakespeare.
Did you find trouble with the language? Is that where you?
Not so much. Like I remember in high school finding it clunky and stuff, but like there was one word I highlighted because I was like, it was like chirology or something like that. I looked at my Kindle notes.
Oh, I saw that one too. I had to look that one up as well.
Yeah, I did look it up because it's like when you highlight it on the Kindle, it just gave me no definition. But then when I looked it up, it said it was like a word made up by Shakespeare.
Isn't it palm reading or something? Or something like that?
I forget, but I looked at my Kindle notes. It's literally the only thing I highlighted in my notes. Chirurgeonly. Yeah,
chirurgeonly. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what it looked like, what it meant. But you know what I mean? Like I sort of do that thing with books a lot where if I don't understand a word, I just kind of keep going. And like,
that's the way. That's what you should do. Like that's the best way to do it. Like,
I didn't find it too much. It was just more like a thing of like, because at the time when I was reading it, I was like kind of convalescing and stuff. So I was like sort of not fully in the best head state or whatever. So
That's a great state to experience the Tempest. I feel
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you're in a
Like
reverie and sort of
in a state of dazed wonder, like all of these people on the fucking island. Yeah.
yeah.
But the thing too that, I love my Kindle, can't sing enough praises of it, but I do tend to find I do like physical copies of Shakespeare because if you get those like funny like Folgers copies that have like the paint and lights on them, one page is the dialogue and the page adjacent to it is definitions of all the words you don't know and like fun illustrations. And this time I have Oxford World Classics here, and every page at the bottom they have notes on this. I think I looked at them probably twice, not because I'm a genius or something, because I get lazy reading footnotes. So obviously Infinite Jest was a little harder for me, but
I'm reading that now, actually.
Oh, how are you enjoying it?
I do like it. It's just at the moment I have too much other stuff to read, so I haven't picked up in a while. But there was one bit I remember where it was like goes to a footnote, and then that's 20 pages. Then within the footnote, it would reference another footnote that would be like 40 pages, and then you'd go back to the text, and then like one sentence later, it'd be like another footnote. Like, oh, get fucked, and then it was like literally like one word or something like something like so he's just like messing with you a bit. But I do find it like pretty riveting. I
love
wish
it
I had more
too.
time for it.
That title is also derived from Shakespeare. That comes from Hamlet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love. I'm glad that you said that you didn't feel startled or horrified by the language, because I think that's what scares people off most of the time is that they feel like they can't access like Elizabethan English, but it's very intuitive. Like you don't really have to worry about it. But I guess most people who are not, engaged in reading as a daily habit, they just don't understand that you don't need to understand every single thing that you encounter.
I also think that people are sort of scared off by the fact that it's verse as well. Like I think what people are saying when they complain about the language is they're actually complaining about it being in verse. Because I reckon if you put all of that in kind of prose, like people wouldn't talk about the language as it's just a bit old fashioned, rather than like this sort of opaque thing that they have to navigate.
There's definitely like
the iambic
sentences
pentameter.
I had to read like a few times, because sometimes there's things where it's like just the like directionality of it. You're like, wait, is he for or against that thing? Like you have to sort of read it over, because there's a lot more stricter grammar or stuff. But and also all of the stuff where it's like, I guess it's because of the verse meter where it's like instead of writing over, it'll be like O apostrophe ER and stuff like that, or all that kind of stuff.
And like all those little old timey things. Yeah.
For me, it's like the enjambments that frustrate me, because you're going through one sentence and it's not done. It's like, my son is lost in my rate sheet too, and you're like, wait, and then you have to go down. Who is so far from Italy removed? So my brain doesn't love to look at poems.
Yeah, I do. One of my bugbears about performed Shakespeare as well is when you can tell that the actors don't know what they're saying. Like, that's really annoying. So like that, you kind of have to know what you're saying as well if you're going to perform it. But so in terms of the movie, like I guess we can go in more about the plot. So yeah, Prospero basically gets these people, these conspirators, onto the island, has this plan, and they're separated into, I think, 3 groups. It's the Alonso or Alfonso, I can't remember that name.
Alonso, the king of Milan,
who's the brother of Prospero and was the one that kind of exiled him or kicked him out of the duchy. And he's got a group of his men. Then you've got like the fools, like the jester types. You've got Trinculo and what's the other one? Stefano. And then you've got the prince, Ferdinand, who falls in love with Miranda, Prospero's daughter. And this is probably like the cute element of the play that I really like, and it probably contributes to Prospero's sort of change of heart, is that he realizes that Ferdinand falls in love with Miranda, and Miranda falls in love with him as well. And there's this real kind of like honoring of love as well with Prospero, and that sort of stays his hand. So that sort of is part of his turn from kind of vengefulness towards something approximating forgiveness and like bygones be bygones sort of things towards the end. And those interactions are quite nice in the play. I love the way it's done in the film as well. We can talk about that. And then the other element are these two servants that sort of do the bidding of Prospero on the island. You have Caliban, who's like this disgusting, gross, abject creature who was a previous inhabitant of, an original inhabitant of the island. Someone might say indigenous, who is the son of like a witch that Prospero killed, and now is in sort of bondage to Prospero. And then there's Ariel, which is this kind of diaphanous fairy sprite thing. Ariel has the promise of freedom sort of dangled in front of him / her to do Prospero's bidding, whereas Caliban is a little bit more resistant and is like more brutish and is sort of has to be forced to do things. I find the dichotomy between the servants really interesting. And one of the things I like about this play is I'm not quite sure what to think about that either, because the servant roles, it's not like there's a lot of dualities in this story. Like I said before, nature versus art, savagery versus civilization. But both Caliban and Ariel seem like just different manifestations of nature, to me anyway. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think Caliban is like probably the most famous element of this play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and then like the final Prospero like soliloquy at the very end. But this was very popular in like the mid 20th century because people love to do post-colonial readings of Caliban exploring racial dynamics. For me, like the Moors and the Black people that show up in Shakespeare, it's like I'm not sociologically intrigued by what they mean. But what's more interesting about Caliban in particular is that he's like, they call him puppy-headed. He looks and smells like a fish. And it's really unusual to have a, not necessarily sympathetic, but just an utterly miserable, lowly thing in Shakespeare. Like even the villains have like some sort of arc of humanity and drive, but Caliban is just like the muck of the earth, and I found him really unpleasant. I really hated the actor who played him in the movie. I thought it was just the worst. I read that they used to do the costuming of this as like the missing link, and they would just like do like a caveman cosplay. And like that's it. But I don't know what I would do if I was staging Caliban, but
he's like a homunculus or like a Frankenstein monster or something like that.
Yeah. And in the introduction to this one I was reading, it's like very explicit, like from context, like where this island is, that he would be descended from Africans as well. And yeah, I mean, what to make of that? I like what you said. It's like, what do I think? It's like, it's fun not to know, isn't it?
Well, in the movie's interesting. I agree with you that Jimon Honsu is not the best.
Whoever that is.
Yeah. He was sort of big, like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. But in that portrayal of Caliban, I found it really weird, and I feel like she was leaning into the post-colonial stuff. But it's strange because the makeup is like, it's like he's got vitiligo.
I was thinking about that. He looks like, what's her name? Like Willie whatever.
Who?
The vitiligo idol, or sorry, model from America's Next Top Model.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it's like they half-tarred him or something.
Yeah, it's like he's like got like a little bit of white, and like what are you saying here, Julie Taymor?
What does that mean?
Are you talking about biraciality or something like that? Like, what's going on here? Honey, what is this? What's going on here?
I don't know. I mean, it is fun not to be able to come to an immediate conclusion about him. And I believe that the original rules is that he's enslaved and Ariel is a servant. So I guess there's
There's a
a difference
difference, yeah.
there. But Ariel was really fascinated when I was reading the play. I thought like this character has some of the most like beautiful lines going through these like lush evocations of nature's landscape. So I guess like Ariel is like beautiful nature and then Caliban is like repulsive, abject nature.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, the film adaptation has that James Bond guy, Ben whatever.
Ben Whishaw, yeah.
And one of the most perturbing performances in cinematic history. It is repugnant.
I kind of like it though because of that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I thought you guys were gonna like that. I was
I recognize that it's hideous, but I kind of like it because it's like it kind of inverts it where like, you know, there's problems with the Caliban performance, but it's almost preferable to the Ariel performance. And I think there's a sly like little who's actually the like disgusting, slithering, muck covered character here. So I don't know, maybe it's an inversion of that I found a bit delicious.
I thought maybe you just liked it because you're into Twinks or something. I don't know, because
I'm not
he's
into Twinks.
me neither. And it was really repulsive to just see like, you know, some like X video, like lanky, brightly lit white thing like scuttering around. It was horrible, but I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, his little Tim Burton makeup butt like floating across the screen, you know, like that. Yeah, that was it.
Or
Was
kept reminding
descending
me
into
of-
the ocean.
yeah.
It just kept reminding me of the like Zoolander thing when he's like a merman or something.
I know what you mean. I felt the same way.
Well, there's a lot of effects around the Ariel scenes, or Ariel, however you want to say it, that I thought were really cool. And a lot of the critiques of this film actually were that it relies too much on special effects and things like that. I didn't think it was overdone. I thought it was like, it actually, some of the effects really added to it, I thought. I loved the first scene where she meets Ariel in the water. I thought that was cool, like how they did that. Like,
I'm
and then
so glad that you loved that.
and then there's an artificiality to it, and like that I liked because it's like Ariel is this air spirit that like you can't grab onto, and so like the effects have to be sort of like, it's like they've put shadow puppets in front of the screen. And I love that element of it. It's fun.
I liked it because it looks like an old, like, Ano Hideaki, like, you know, CG thing, like
Yeah, I
Cutie
can see
Honey.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Cutie Honey, or it kind of looks like Shin Kamen Rider or something. But have you seen Titus, like her other Shakespeare film?
I haven't seen that one, no.
So I watched that in high school, and that one has like a cloying child narrative of like an imaginative little boy who like stumbles into the world of make believe, and he's in Titus Andronicus, and I don't love Julie Taymor's like affection for like whimsical little boys in the land of make believe. I feel a little divorced from that as like an, you know, a bitter Oregonian, I guess.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, and like, that is in a lot of her films and productions and things like that. That's one of the things that I really don't like about well, I don't like the movie, but there's an element of that in Across the Universe as well.
Oh,
I really dislike.
I forgot that she directed that.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Like the element of the kind of the little boy, the little black boy, and how he dies and stuff. And there's this like
the little black
sequence.
boy in the Brewster projects.
That's right, yeah. But
no, I don't love the imagination stuff, but you're totally right that the effects are like refreshing. Especially, I just saw Megalopolis last week. I hated it, but that was like the worst version of like dumpy CG, and like this is a lovely version of it. Even if it is Ben's little white ass like flickering across the islandscapes,
winking across the islands. Yeah. Hi there, listeners. Sorry to interrupt. We really appreciate you listening to us, but if you'd like to hear more from us, you should check out our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/gettinglit and gain access to our exclusive bonus content, including Back Matter, a special after show where we chat a little bit more informally with our guests, usually about a film or something else related to the main episode. For just $5, you get access to these bonus episodes, as well as the full archive of every episode we've ever done. For more details and to get the most out of your Getting Lit podcast experience, go to patreon.com/gettinglit. Thanks for listening. Okay, back to the show. Yeah, and what did you guys think of the gender swap of Prospero to Prospera with Helen Mirren in the lead role?
I mean, like, they got a strong actress to do it, so it sort of worked.
Yeah. But then, like, it was fine, but I'm like, what's actually the point? Like, why did you do this? Like, I didn't really get it. Like,
I'm totally here for women playing male Shakespeare parts.
Me
like,
too. Yeah.
Glenda Jackson, who's like in Women in Love and a bunch of amazing, Ken Russell movies. She played King Lear in London. I mean, that's amazing. But what I prefer is if they don't change the pronouns or the story or the name of the character, just have Helen Mirren be Prospero and just don't acknowledge it. I think that always works better. But yeah, she's very good, and I don't know. I like when an old lady's like, it's my time to do my Shakespeare part.
Yeah.
That's always exciting.
Yeah. I've always appreciated Helen Mirren because she was, well, first of all, she was in the Caligula movie, and her tits are out on like basically in every reel of that film, and she always she had this reputation in the 70s and 80s and stuff of like a titty actress, like someone who'd always be like, ooh, have her tits out. And like, I really like that she's done the reverse of what a lot of American actresses do, which is like they get older and then they do the nude scenes, and like she's done all her nude scenes in her youth, and now she's doing the serious the work.
Totally love it.
I love that. But yeah, I just Julie Taymor is interesting because I feel like a lot of her stuff is this is such a basic kind of critique, but a lot of her stuff is a little gimmicky. Like, it just is. But like, and so that's how I feel about the casting. Like, it's not bad, but it's like, what's kind of the point? Like, I'm not sure what it adds to this story.
She doesn't know either. I mean,
yeah,
she has
exactly.
no idea.
Yeah,
she's just, woo.
because it does like change things slightly in terms of the associations with like witchcraft and things like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas like Prospero's art is more like masculine. It's like, reading the signs. It's almost like a science, right? And that's, I think, how magic was practiced in the Renaissance. It was more about like, it was more scientific. Whereas, yeah, like having a woman doing it, it's like you make these associations with, and in fact, I think the movie even goes there with a throwaway line about like, women being burnt at the stake and shit like that for witchcraft. But witchcraft is slightly different to, what Prospero is doing in the original play. Yeah. Mm. So that was an interesting departure, but I'm not sure it didn't really develop that in any sort of way.
No, nothing gained, but it does introduce like an interesting thing, which is like magic, and I guess like all of Shakespeare's like later like final romance plays, which is like this, The Winter's Tale, I think like Cymbeline. That's it. Yeah. Never read that one, but maybe next year. Yeah. But all of those ones are like a little bit like more charmed, and the setting is less historical or like less realistic. It's like an island in nowhere, or like, some fantasy European kingdom. And I understand that like the idea of magic in the Renaissance, it was like still viewed as like quite evil. And it was only like with Edmund Spenser and the Fairy Queen, and then kind of this like last arc of Shakespeare where it started to like be seen a little bit differently.
Hmm.
And that's quite interesting because, as you mentioned, the notion of magic here is as a stand-in for art and literature and the stage.
Hmm. My books. I will drown my books. Like I love that
Me
line.
too, so
That's
good.
Um, and yeah, and then but then always it's always sort of like a means to an end as well. Like after Prospero renounces his art, his book, everything. He says he'll break his staff, all that sort of good magical shit. But like to renounce that to return to his birthright, basically. But and in that as well, you can see in at the time in a lot of plays of this time and a lot of narratives and things like that, there was often a juxtaposition between a life lived in contemplation and a life lived in action, particularly when it came to like rulers, like what kind of ruler will you be? Shakespeare talks about this constantly, particularly in the Henry plays, like that, are you going to be a thinker when you come to the throne, or are you going to be like an active sort of warrior, diplomat, or whatever type? And this sort of plays it out. So, Prospero was usurped basically because he had his nose in a book constantly. So too contemplative. And then, kind of renounces that eventually and comes back to, his throne or whatever back in Milan. And you don't ever get to see what kind of ruler he is after that, but it's sort of a lesson, I guess, like that you have to harmonize these things, contemplation versus activity.
Mm.
Mm, mm.
It's really interesting because like the play begins and ends in the same place too. And I was kind of
Yeah.
thinking about the arc of the narrative where like a lot of Shakespeare like goes from like you said with the comedies it like ends in a marriage, or with the tragedies it ends with death and massacre. And this is one that's super interesting because it ends with a return to the status quo. And
Mm.
it's the effect is almost kind of unsettling, like don't you think? And it's like all of this like backstory that's like never in the play and it's just kind of referenced, and then looping back into this world of Prospero as a, academic type, not embodied, then taking action and then like returning to this like state of almost like indifference, if you know what I mean. I
Mm.
found it really kind of bizarre when I was finishing the play again today.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think one of the interesting things about Prospero as a character too is that uh, he's one of the few Shakespeare characters, like major characters, that doesn't get like extended soliloquies to that like lay out his motivations. Because so you could read this play and read him, oh, I forgive these people or whatever, and now I'm going to return to my throne or whatever, go back to where I came from. And you could read that as like, yes, he's forgiven them and he's going to be a just ruler, but you can't be sure. Like that could just be a ploy to get back into power, and then he'll have all these people hanged or whatever. I like that as well, that he doesn't explicitly state what his kind of goals are in that heightened Shakespeare mode, where you go into the long monologue of like your feelings. Like Prospero is always talking to someone, and if he is like not talking to anyone, it's usually just invoking things with spells, but you never get that like solid like epic soliloquy about what his actual motivations are, which I think is cool.
I imagine it makes it really hard to play him
Mm,
because his interiority is like such, you know, it's an illusion, it's invented, it's inaccessible. And the only instance we get of, that soliloquizing is like at the very end in the epilogue, right? So it's unlike any other Shakespeare role in that way. So makes sense to me that like this is what like Helen Mirren or whoever like want to do is like their big swan song. Not that she's dead or anything, right? She's not dead.
No, she's not dead.
No, I didn't think so. She's not that old, even though she kind of looks it in this movie. But
yeah, like, and even the epilogue as well. It's a sort of extended soliloquy, but that is sort of like that's not the same as what you would get in older Shakespeare plays either, because it's almost like, in fact, I have seen that it has been performed often by the actor still as Prospero, but they'll usually like take off a bit.
They take off an element of the costume.
Yeah. Which is like, it's almost like the play is speaking, not just Prospero or Shakespeare himself is speaking or whatever. And like the idea as well that he direct addresses the audience. Again, that goes to your point about this being one of the first postmodern texts, because it's like a direct address, being like, what does he say? He says, in this bare island by your spell, but release me from my bands with the help of your good hands, like indicating that you have to applaud the play now, sort of thing. It's addressing the audience and like involving the audience in like one more invocation to like finish the story, sort of thing. So even that is sort of like, it's not necessarily Prospero, I don't think. It's spoken by him, and that's really interesting in the notes as well. It says spoken by Prospero. Which is normally it would just say Prospero as well. So that's an interesting part about the text, I think. I might not be in all of them, but it's in mine.
Yeah, mine just says Prospero.
Yeah, okay. Mine says spoken by Prospero.
I like spoken by more. Yeah. That's cunty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind.
Yeah,
because it's cool. It's like you are now in the narrative. All of this narrative. I mean, I'm probably getting ahead of myself because like the question of like narrative and like metafiction is kind of what is like the animating device of the text. But it's like it's fascinating to kind of have this very direct Shakespeare play with very little shock or twist in the plot, little intrigue. It goes from one point to the end. And the conclusion is the most avant-garde thing, in which now the audience is involved in the narrative. They're like unable to take themselves out of it. They have become like a symbiotic, matter of ephemera on earth. And that's just, that's magic, as Shakespeare would say here. So you end up like leaving with a very different like theatrical experience. And obviously now like everything has like something metatextual or like something that, breaks the medium. I've been talking so much about Evangelion on my show, and like that happens, every 4 episodes, it seems. But it's, especially for, when this was kind of originating dramatic form, it's just breathtaking to imagine how that might have felt,
Yeah. And like that metafictional stuff, like especially now, often that's done in service of some kind of rhetoric. Like there's a point to it, Whereas with this, it's sort of like, it's very enigmatic. And that's why I've always been fascinated by this play, because it's not like, of course there are like, there's a point in the sense that you could take away from the play the sense of, forgiveness is an important thing to hold in your heart and whatever. You could do that. But like, that little bit, that epilogue is, it's extremely enigmatic. Like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, it doesn't seem to have like a rhetorical point, in a way that so much metafictional stuff does.
Do you think he could just be like showing off? Like,
yeah.
Look how good I write.
Yeah. Well, that's something that, and is an argument for this being the final play as well, that scholars have sort of claimed that this is sort of his most personal, almost like a swan song, like a farewell to theatre, because it was his last play. And that's one way you could read the epilogue, and the play itself, actually, because it is a very theatre play.
Very, very that. But it's very interesting because the awareness of fiction inside the plot of this, not just as entertainment, yet, you stage with the cross-dressers at the Globe or whatever, but fiction as kind of this extension of reality in which a dimension of it exists inside of the production, inside of the book. it's kind of like staggering to imagine like coming to that conclusion because it makes you just reflect on like the entire history of the medium from like Greek theater to everything they've done since then. And it's like where that impulse came from to like stage these things and why you select what you do. You can kind of feel that pulsating in like the Tempest specifically.
Yeah, where does that come from? You never really think about that. Do you think that's the defining thing about humans? I think it is.
That we like to
Stories.
perform and put on a show.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think you're right. Well, because I was also on my Evangelion episode, like, you know, in Ava, there's like end of Ava, there's a scene where the animation breaks and you're having a stairwell, like not a stairwell, like a movie theater projected back at you. And it's very dislocating and kind of disturbing because the medium has been brought attention to. But it's like film is the whole point of it is like we are reflecting and projecting these images so that we can understand something of ourselves in this, you know, kind of broken image we've tried to make, like this reflection we've tried to construct. It doesn't quite work, and there's like the awkwardness of medium, but there's something there, and when you get struck by that, it's really shocking and upsetting and sublime. And yeah, I wonder what the impulse is. It must just be that human beings like need to try to recreate reality over and over again in different forms as to like make sense of it and exert power over it. But then the effect of the Tempest is that you do that and it's full of ephemerality and illusions and it's kind of bizarre and unsettling and also beautiful and full of wonder. So yeah, I guess the play achieves its goals. I feel like I'm rambling. Am I making any sense here?
No, you're making heaps of sense.
Okay,
And,
great.
Yeah, I've always been. It's such a rich text because it's like you can draw so much out of it, and I think specifically because it has it is a later work, so it's kind of bringing together all of these concerns and motifs that like Shakespeare has had throughout his career, and there's something transcendent about it, and I think it's great, and especially because I feel like the island itself is almost like it is a purely imaginative space. It's not set in Verona like Romeo and even though Verona in Shakespeare's Verona is not Verona, like so that's an imaginative space as well. But this is sort of like a whole cloth. It's an exploration of imagination and, you know, how we build stories and the art, capital A, of that as well. And how it is kind of magic. It really is when you think about it. I think we don't say that enough about like stories and things like that.
I know you feel embarrassed to say it, but it's true.
Yeah. You literally can write marks on a page, or, you know, speak in like meter or something like that. And you will like psychically project your own like imaginings to someone else. That's magic.
Magic is like mostly about the imagination. Like you read any occult books, it's all just about the imagination and, you know, building up these worlds in your head and stuff. So if you can project that into someone else's mind, then yeah, that's kind of all magic is.
On your episode, when you were talking about God's Fair No Better, that's the name, right? Yeah. And you were talking about the occult and kind of like these like, you know, Buddhist like influences. I felt like really happy because I was like, yeah, like this stuff is magic. It is sublime to like experience, like, you know, just looking at marks on a page and then your soul moving. It's crazy. I love it. And as I get older and like more jaded, I forget like that was my entire interest in you know, literature and film to begin with. But then, you know, you read something good enough again and then you're reminded and you feel like you're 14. But yeah, we should say that more often. You're so right. I'm never going to feel embarrassed ever again by saying that reading is magic.
Magic. Yeah. And I think you even like, you know, saying it's different but believing it. Obviously we all believe it, but I think Shakespeare helps with that. If you like, and you read Shakespeare every, was it year? You said you read a new one, or?
Yeah, it usually happens like a year. So this year, I guess it was Tempest. I'll probably read another. Last year, it was something. Forgot what it was. Oh, no. Then the year before that was Julius Caesar. But yeah, anyway, it's like about once a year or so.
And that helps to remind you, I think, when you read something so great, and even Shakespeare's not great plays are still pretty
Oh,
fucking
everything's great. I haven't
Yeah.
read one bad one.
Yeah, yeah.
And this kind of like confusion and like questioning and chatter that, you can carry on 400, 500 years after it's finished. Like, Taming of the Shrew, the ending of that is like so full of depth that like academics have been trying to make heads or tail of it, and Elizabeth Taylor too, for, time immemorium. It's so cool. Yeah, reading is magic, and so is Shakespeare.
I also I don't think it was on the God's Fair No Better episode. It was on another episode with David. And yeah, he was telling me about his occult practices and how he comes on sigils and stuff like that. And I'm like, tell me more.
David's so cool.
Now that's
great.
real magic. Ejaculation is magic too.
I agree with that as well. So is sex. Yeah, all of these things are one and the same.
Totally agreed with that for sure.
Yeah.
I felt that the sense of the island, right, and the setting of it, because all of the characters, they prattle on about it. And it's unusual for a Shakespeare play for them to be talking about how things look. Most of the time, they're talking about how they feel about a thing, how they feel about someone else, what they're going to do about how they feel. And this play is uniquely looking around constantly. And I feel like that really helps delineate the sense of, magical art literature floating in between corporeality and what we imagine. And this line from Caliban, he says, "Be not afeared, the isle is full of noises, sounds and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices that, if I then had waked after long sleep, will make me sleep again. And then in dreaming, the clouds methought would open and show riches ready to drop upon me. Then when I waked, I cried to dream again."
Amazing. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, Shakespeare's not that good."
Okay, well, check
You're
that.
not that good.
Yeah, you're
check
not.
that
You
out.
think you're better than Shakespeare? No.
Yeah, you are not better than Shakespeare, Count, but so sorry. But so many great lines. And also this is one of those. I like the love story in this. Often the love
Me
story.
too.
I think it's really cute. And I think how she's like, I've never seen a man before other than Prospero. And she's like, oh, I love this. I love men. And I'm like, me too.
And then she sees a bunch of just drunk, horrible sailors that are washed up on the beach, and she's like, the humankind is so beautiful. Yeah, I know what she's on about, really.
What was that bit where it's the guy got under the blanket with someone else, and then they think it's a four-legged monster or something like that?
Yeah, it's Caliban under the blanket, and they're feeding him alcohol, and then he becomes double enslaved to Russell Brand because Russell Brand fed him, schnapps or something.
Yeah, I couldn't stop just thinking, watching that movie. It's just it's just Russell Brand,
Russell
that's
Brand,
literally his character.
Well, there was one thing that he did that I got to find the line. It's going to take me too long to find the line. But there's one thing that he did that I thought was really clever was he did the line is something like his legs be of a man or something like that. But Russell Brand delivered it his legs lifted them up and then reached under his pants is be a man. I thought that was really funny.
I was so I feel so sensitive about Katy Perry that once Russell Brand appears in front of me, I just I tune it out.
Yeah, and that is the Katy Perry era too, isn't it? It was made in 2010.
They got married, I think a year after this, and then divorced a year after.
Oh,
ooh, terrible.
Yeah.
I would cast Katy Perry as Miranda. She has a lot of that verve.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Miranda. I love the idea of this female character who's never encountered other humans except for Prospero before, and just her constant, weepy ecstasy. It's just like the sight of other people. I feel the same way in Japan. I feel like Miranda in Japan because I'm like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, like that's sometimes it can feel like as well the first thing you see, you're like, I'll take it.
Have you ever seen like The Toxic Avenger?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know how like when he gets like the girlfriend is blind or whatever, and then I think it might be the second movie or whatever, and then he's like really worried that like she's gonna like leave him. It's like when she gets her sight back, but then like she like gets the eyes restored, and she sees the doctor, and she's like, you're hideous, and then she sees him, and he's like, oh, you're beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think about the love story in the movie version? Miranda played by, what's her name? Felicity Jones, and Ferdinand by another twink.
That guy.
What's Julie Taymor's deal with twinks? Like, why is she casting all these twinks in everything she does?
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably just from being too exposed to Broadway. It's like, she's she's just used to it. Yeah. So that's what all of her sexuality probably revolves around.
I think Felicity Jones looks like
she's cute. She's good.
She looks like Eddie Redmayne. I feel like they're brothers.
They all kind of look like Eddie Redmayne.
All English chicks, all skinny English chicks look like Eddie.
No, literally everyone in the movie, including the women, the men, like they're all just shades of Redmayne. They're all the Danish girl, low key. Like,
have you ever seen Jupiter Ascending?
That movie is fucked up.
That is Eddie Redmayne's best performance.
Yeah.
He plays like a raspy, campy Prince Charles. It's hilarious, but like in space.
Wait, so is that good, that movie?
No,
not really.
No.
Yeah, the trailer did not make it look good.
No, the Wachowskis are horrible. Everything they've ever done is bad, including the first Matrix movie, which I don't like. I don't like
very
anything. Very green, very typing on my computer. I can't. I'm not interested. But Felicity Jones, I was surprised because young people doing Shakespeare really tend to have a tough go of it, and she sounded very assured. I don't know if you've seen the Macbeth adaptation with Michael Fassbender.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's horrible. It's very bad. Very bad. And that's a contemporary Shakespeare adaptation where they're just like doing the lines. It doesn't work. Shakespeare is hard to adapt. You know, it doesn't go very well very often.
I always think that they should just like if you're going to do Macbeth, just do the story of Macbeth and film it, like, you know, and just like write a script, you know, like that's an adaptation, especially if you're going to cast people like Michael Fassbender, you know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I do want to see these like narratives, like, you know, put into film, but I don't have confidence in contemporary directors to do it. I think like my favorite Shakespeare adaptations is probably Elizabeth Taylor in Taming of the Shrew, and Marlon Brando and Julius Caesar is also very good. So those two. And then after that, I'm like not that impressed most of the time. I think maybe Ryan Murphy should try it.
That's a great idea. That's such a good idea.
But lately, my idea for everything is just let's give Ryan Murphy a try.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy needs to stop writing and like get someone else to write it, and then he can direct it. Because I think
I've always said that.
That's when
Normal
excels.
Heart is perfect. You know, that's the best thing he's ever done, and he didn't write that screenplay. Larry Kramer did.
Yeah, like he's good when he's just directing. Did he direct the Menendez thing? Was that him?
He did direct that. It's American Crime Story, and he wrote some of it.
Yeah, because that was really good. I thought that was a real one.
Yeah, I gobbled that up in one day. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think we're going to do an episode on that because there's a Gary Indiana book that's really good. It's called Resentment. It's sort of loosely based on the Menendez thing. Anyway, spoilers for a future episode. Yeah. Yeah. So I loved the costumes in the adaptation too. I loved Helen Mirren's crystalline muumuu. That was amazing.
Yeah, she looks like she's in Final Fantasy.
She does. With a little like
Yeah, it all
staff
looked kind of
thing.
like a perfume ad or something.
Yes, it did. Julie Taymor should
Mugler.
do perfume ads.
Yeah, she should. That's exactly what she's meant for. She shouldn't do Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark and like keep executing people, but like she should do some perfume ads for sure. She's like 78 or something. She's old as hell.
Really?
And she this is funny. We were talking about this on the Getting Lit Sirens about Indonesia. She lived there studying puppets.
Puppets? Everybody loves
puppets.
Yeah, they've got a real, like, a very ancient tradition of shadow puppetry, which is really impressive. Like, again, this is something we talked about on the Getting Lit Sirens episode, but when we learnt Indonesian in school, I remember going to a few of those, and they were really cool, like, because they're really intricate, the detailing on the wayang puppetry. So she studied that.
Have you ever seen the Lion King musical before?
No, but my partner has, and he says, like, he really loves it, but he really loves musicals, unlike me. So
I saw it when I was in middle school, and I was, pretty wowed. I mean, lots of Indonesian masks and stuff. It's pretty impressive. But you can kind of like sense like her. I have a huge Broadway stage to work with sensibilities like in this movie adaptation, and so I love her appeal towards grandiosity that is shrunk by her $20 million budget. But those costumes.
Yeah, those costumes. I also like how and you see this a lot in a lot of modern Shakespeare adaptations, that there's a kind of willful anachronisms and things like that. Like, so Ferdinand is, dressed in the Renaissance doublet and everything. Then when he gets hot, takes it off, and he's wearing like a modern kind of tank top when he's carrying the wood. Like things like that. You always see those in that sort of stuff in these things. And basically Helen Mirren is dressed like, I don't know, it looks like an Alexander McQueen thing, like most of the time. So
it's fierce. Yeah,
it is fierce.
She looks like a Final Fantasy character. Really, it's just like get her some materia.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an okay adaptation, I think. But I do like you're right about Taymor being. It is like she's constrained by film in a way that I don't think she is in theater. She should just do theater.
I mean, I'm glad that this stuff exists because, like, who is this for? Honestly. I mean, this movie, flopped major, really, in a way that was extremely major. But I do remember seeing movie posters for it when I was growing up at like the local cinema and being like, what's that? And it's like, who goes to see The Tempest and like sit there in the theater? I mean, I'm glad it should be there. It's good. It's good for everyone.
What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Anyway, yeah, I've lost it. I was going to say something.
Train of thought, a Shakespearean term. Yeah. Probably not actually. Trains didn't exist then.
Dress trains did.
Yeah. There's this cafe I go to and it has all on the wall. Like, you probably didn't know that all of these terms are like Shakespearean. It's like, well, I can't remember a single one of them, but the cafe's called Method to the Madness, which I'm guessing is a Shakespearean quote or something.
There's the rub.
Menu items are like serpent's eggs done your way and things like that. It's good. I go there all the
time. What are your favorite Shakespeare's? Did we go over this before? I think.
I don't remember. So I guess the answer is no, right? If you if you can't remember, it didn't happen. For me, I would say it's Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra. And I love Titus Andronicus in a way that is, it's not contrarian, but it's just, exciting. It's, I would say that and Taming the Shrew. Yeah.
Have you read Coriolanus?
No, I have not.
I like that one. That's one of my
Should I make that my next one? Should I make it my next one?
It's kind of like if you like Titus, maybe you would like it. I just like it because it's about revenge, and then like revenge kind of backfiring on someone. Like,
I also love Julius Caesar, which I was expecting to hate. I don't know why. I just
yeah.
who cares?
And I love Romeo and Juliet too. I don't care. Like people always say,
Me too.
it's so basic, but it's good. It holds up. I can't believe it still holds up. It's like 400 years old.
Yeah, it's like you're talking about a 90s movie.
Yeah. But like Romeo and Juliet is good. Like there's a reason that it's one of the most popular plays.
It's phenomenal. It's so good. I mean, it's hard for me to say my favorites. I think the ones I said are accurate, but I could easily just change my mind and tell you that it's Romeo and Juliet as well, because that was the first time I just shocked in a theater. And the guy who played Romeo was hot. He had big biceps. I remember that.
Did you I read something, actually I saw it was a video. Some guy was saying, had this really interesting take on the Tempest being like the good twin to King Lear, in that like the way that like, you know, it's obviously King Lear's a tragedy, and it sort of starts where King Lear ends, because at the end when there's the storm and King Lear's like, you know, thinks he's controlling it and is going mad and whatever. Whereas like Prospero, the Tempest begins with Prospero actually controlling the storm and things like that, like togetherness of a family rather than it sort of breaking apart and all that sort of shit. So like I liked that. It was a cute little reading that I found in my.
Was that Andrew Clavin that you saw?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it must play after you watched the Julie Taymor one on YouTube, because I was like, as soon as you said that, I was like, wait, I've seen that same video.
Yeah. It was a good video.
I was like,
Oh my God. Was it on YouTube? I paid for it.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube.
No, I rented it.
It's actually on YouTube
Prime.
in a really, really good quality HD.
Oh. I like paid $4 to rent.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's funny.
Oh, well,
No, but that's cute. Yeah, I love that, because King Lear is like his just drowsiest, most, you know, horrible, terrible tragedy. It's very unpleasant. It's not my favorite, but maybe that's because I'm so young and spry. I don't relate to King Lear's issues yet. But it does have the best character name of all time, which is Goneril.
Yeah. She's gonna roll.
What's Richard III like? I think I caught part of the movie once, and that actually seemed kind of interesting. So I've always sort of been curious about that one.
I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen, I don't think I've seen.
Me neither.
Or read it.
I think Hamlet it's time for me to revisit, because I think I was like just doing like, I was just too high on weed and just like drinking in my like frat to like care about Hamlet at the time. I liked Macbeth because Lady Macbeth has the blood on her hand, and I was like, yes. But like now I'd like to revisit. I think I'd quite like Hamlet a bit more.
Oh, have you seen Throne of Blood?
No.
The Kurosawa Macbeth.
Oh, the Kurosawa film. Yeah, that's a Macbeth adaptation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's pretty good. I think I did that.
It's definitely the best Kurosawa movie, because I have limited patience for him, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
I find them to be a little stodgy and overly meticulous for little emotional effect. But Throne of Blood works because it is emotional and you do feel bad.
Very.
Yeah. He's better than Ozu, who needs to die. He did die.
I cannot deal with people who are obsessed with Ozu. It's just...
No, they need to just... No. No one actually likes that. It's not for anyone.
I remember I had to teach like an Asian cultures media course like years and years ago. And there was like way too much Ozu. It was like 2 weeks. It's like,
it does make sense, because contemporary Japanese film is derivative of him, chief and foremost. It's gotten a lot more melodramatic in the last like 20 years, but yeah, his influence continues, unfortunately.
I was really excited when I got to teach Tempopo though, because I love that film so much.
Oh, love Tempopo. That's great.
Yeah. So, we should do that one day. Have you
we
seen
can
that?
pair it with Cannibal Holocaust.
Yes, that's a great pairing.
I've seen that, but I haven't seen Tempopo, no.
Both have amazing turtle slaughters in them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, any final thoughts on Tempest, guys? Like, what did you think of the other thing that I wanted to mention as well is I found it an interesting choice to turn the epilogue into a song in the movie. Like, I don't understand it, but I was like, okay. Because it's like
Julie wanted someone to sing, okay?
yeah, and it was Beth Gibbons from Portishead apparently who sung it. So
Neat.
yeah. So but I was like a lot of choices in this movie. I'll just leave it there. Like she made a choice. But like I'm kind of wondering like I am trying to figure out why. Like maybe because that epilogue is so like metafictional and about the theater that in a film context she probably thought it didn't work or something. Like maybe that's why. Like
If I was to do it, I'd have like the green screen like just flash and then and like right behind me it's like very clearly a set and the camera rolls back a little bit and then I would deliver the monologue as a director and not have Helen Mirren do it. That's what I would do if I was filming it. But yeah, I love the epilogue. I love this idea of now my charms are all overthrown, dispelling this illusion of art and sailing away into the future with it entombed inside of you. I think it's really majestic and beautiful.
and being clapped away by the audience. Congratulations.
Which also kind of happens in Titanic as well, with like the my heart will go on, like, you know, sounds of the motor like clapping. Yeah, all the best stuff ends with applause. Evangelion too.
Oh, I remember on the TPN episode of Titanic that when they were talking about the My Heart Will Go On version, and the movie version is so much better. Like the
It
over
is better.
credits because it's like there's this crunchy like mooginess to it, which I really like. I just thought of that then because whenever I want to hear that song, I want to hear that version of it. I don't want to hear the single version of it.
No. Jack was talking about that album that it came off of too, and it is bad. But one song's good. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, Fresta, any final thoughts?
No, not really, to be honest.
No, I'm sorry for subjecting you to this.
No, I need to be exposed to more culture, I think.
Yeah. I also subjected you to William Burroughs, though, so, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, now
pick
that's
poison.
mean. That is terrible.
I thought that was my choice there.
Was it?
No,
It was, actually.
No.
Well, you asked me what I was reading, and I was like, oh, reading this Place of Dead Roads, and you're like, oh, we'll do it. And then, yeah, we both hated it. I've made you read terrible shit, too. Those Crowley short stories.
Oh, my God.
Those sound tough.
Yeah, speaking about, that's like the not fun magic, I think. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Crowley's life is fascinating. That's what you just like listen to the Art of Darkness episode on him. Like you don't need to read his short fiction.
Yeah. Well, if you want to hear our thoughts on his short fiction, we did do an episode on it, and I was complaining about it. But for the time being, Zach, you're having a party to celebrate 5 years of I'm So Popular. We do have a few listeners in Japan. You're one of them, but
Hey.
so, yeah. But give us the details. Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, so it's this Saturday, the 19th, in Koenji at Bar Safari, 1,500 yen with one drink. And it's going to be a celebration of half a decade of my show. All of the music is curated by me and is all stuff I've talked about on the podcast. There's going to be some visual art there, and my three favorite drag queens working in Japan, all former guests of the show, will be performing numbers inspired by different episodes that I've done. So it's going to be really high concept. I'll be wearing some fierce little clothes. It'll be fun. I imagine if your Japanese listeners are listening to your show, they speak English, so I won't do it in Japanese. But 土曜日高円寺来てください。
Yeah, and I'm imagining that you're going to be looking as cunty as Helen Mirren looks in this film.
I'm going to be aspiring for that level, okay? Because I'll have to give my Prospero, soliloquy at the end to clap everyone away.
Yes, amazing. Well, I really wish I could be there, but I cannot.
Oh, I thought you were coming. I'm just finding this out right now.
There's always cheap flights to Japan.
There are actually. You can get
Yeah,
really
you can
cheap
if you probably buy one on like Friday, you could probably get one for like $200.
Maybe. We'll see.
See you on Saturday.
Well, it's wonderful to talk to you again, Zach. And yeah, good luck with the party and happy 5 years.
Thank you for having me. I love The Tempest. Love your show. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was late in the winter when the weather was bitter and the storm rolling in, bringing death and disaster. The silence of night, like gunfire, was shattered. No shelter was left for the poor and the wretched. Drums rolled and crashed and the angels were singing on the cliffs as I watched the distant sails sinking. Master and slave to their death were sent flying. Under the waves, luminous corpses would grin like the sharks who were waiting. No prayers were answered, no preference of class, and no deals could be done. Grown men would cry like a child for its mother. The violence of nature could not be appeased. Throw down a light, shine me a light. I'm your prodigal son, and what I've seen ain't right. Throw the first stone, show me a sign. I'm your prodigal son, tell me what has been done. The night that we sailed, there were crowds on the quayside, full of fear and excitement of an unknown tomorrow. The old world left behind us, we sailed to the horizon. The voyage was uneventful, we had sailed there before. Until the night, 1 mile from the headland, in a moment of truth, a pathetic twist of fortune. I'd heard a voice in my head, I'd ignored it. Was it a warning? And how could I know? All the hopes and the dreams on the rocks, they were shattered. No invitation was offered to debate the outcome. As I left the ship, I was leaving a graveyard. What help could I offer in defense against the sea? Roll down a light, shine me a light. I'm your prodigal son, and what I've seen ain't right. Throw the first stone, show me a sign. I'm your prodigal son, tell me what has been done. Roll down a line, shine me a light. I'm your prodigal son, and what I've seen ain't right. Roll the first stone, show me a sign. I'm your prodigal son, tell me what has been done.